I had no idea what I'm gonna post as long format clips on this brand new YouTube channel I created a few days ago. I only had the shorts in mind, what happened today in history. But as I was doing some research today for a short about the British colonies, I said, you know what? I'll just turn the camera on. I'm not very confident yet talking to you guys, but I'm gonna treat this as a conversation with some friends, sharing ideas and history facts and topics. And I would like to see your opinions in the comments. So, as we can see here, the greatest experiment the world has ever seen. I was just thinking, I was like, why couldn't Britain keep the colonies British and create the Great Britain? Like, for example, instead of having America today, it would be England or the Great Britain. So, obviously, there's a few really simple answers here, and like common sense type answers. But nonetheless, I wrote down 15 factual facts. Let's say. I hope. I did some research. I'm not gonna, sit here pretend like, oh, I know all this. I'm gonna read them because I researched them earlier. But welcome. I'm sure as we get, in time, I'm gonna get better at this conversation thing. Hopefully. So the core question: Britain did not lose the American colonies suddenly. For over a century, Britain never truly tried to integrate them as equal parts of the country. And I feel like this is true because the Brits wouldn't consider the colonies as themselves. As in, I think it was more of a profit thing. Anyway, let's carry on. For over a century, Britain never truly tried to integrate them as equal parts of the country. The colonies were treated as possessions, not as extensions of Britain itself. So I think they had the wrong concept or idea about this from the beginning, even though, actually, I'll just carry on reading. I'm sorry, guys. I've got too many things to say and I don't have enough patience. I'm just excited for my first clip, I guess. What the colonies actually were. The American colonies were founded mostly by private companies, religious groups, and land investors, not as state run projects. From the beginning, they had local assemblies, local courts, and local laws, which we all know. Britain was far away and mostly interested in trade, not day to day control, which was, probably hard taking the distance problem into consideration. A decision from London took weeks or months to arrive in America. The local problems had to be solved locally by necessity. This created a habit of self government long before anyone talked about independence. Fact. For most of the 1700s, Britain deliberately didn't enforce many imperial laws. As long as the colonies sent raw materials and bought British goods, London didn't interfere much. So no wonder they revolted. You didn't care about them, man, enough. You had to show them love, nurture them like your kids. The colonists got used to running their own affairs and no one stopped them. Crucial. Rights weren't guaranteed, they were practiced. Once people govern themselves for generations, they don't see it as a privilege anymore. Makes perfect sense. Now, why did the colonies stop feeling British? Obviously, a long time has passed. By the mid 1700s, most colonists were born in America, not Britain. They had never seen England, never stepped foot on the no mainland, only in England. Their land, families, businesses, and conflicts were American, not British. So probably by that time, you're probably second, third, or fourth generation Americans, let's say. The British identity in the 1700s was tied to the crown, the parliament, and land ownership in Britain. Colonists had none of that connection in daily life. Makes perfect sense. They formed different mentalities. Britain became more centralized and hierarchical. I'm sorry, I'm an immigrant myself, so I might have to work on the, the pronunciation part. But nonetheless, you know what I mean. Sorry, I lost track here. Give me a second, guys. Don't go anywhere. America became more decentralized and practical. Life in the colonies rewarded independence, improvisation, and local authority. Over generations, being British became abstract. Being American became practical and real. Now, there was a turning point where they kind of said, like, right, we have enough, England, of your bullshit. It was the 7 Years' War. Britain won a massive global war in 1763. It also gained huge territories in North America and a huge debt. And then what has Britain done? Britain decided the colonies should help pay for the debt. I mean, it says here they should help pay, but I'm pretty sure in reality they made the colonies pay for the war. And I think there was a restrictions like you can't move any more west from the Appalachian Mountains because they were having problems with the natives there. So obviously you're not gonna be sat there as like getting orders from this guy over the fucking ocean when you risked your life in the bloody war. Like loads of people died in that, and now you tell us like, oh, we can't have lands over west of the mountains because we say so. So yeah, this is where the relationship fundamentally changed. Britain tries to take control. Too late. Britain began enforcing taxes and laws it had ignored for decades. To London, this seemed normal imperial management. Crazy. To colonists, it felt like something was being taken away. So, no fucking wonder we had the greatest experiment the world has ever seen. Not new oppression, lost autonomy. Taxation wasn't the real issue. The taxes themselves were relatively small. The issue was who had the authority to impose them. Colonists paid local taxes already, just ones they voted for. Well, we pay taxes on taxes on taxes. We pay taxes on taxed money today. So maybe we should do something about it, ladies and gentlemen. The Parliament versus the colonial assemblies. Britain believed Parliament ruled the entire empire. The colonists believed only their elected assemblies could tax them. There was no compromise because both sides believed they were defending legitimate authority. Why Britain didn't just give representation? Giving colonies seats in the parliament would reduce the parliament's control, set the precedent across the empire. Britain feared weakening the imperial system itself, so Britain chose control over integration. But this is a random thing I was thinking about when doing the research on this. So it's like in a company who owns 51% owns the company because America was so big or was gonna become so big. Imagine if they would have just take control over the parliament because obviously they were the majority, and we wouldn't have Britain today. We would have like whatever. Britain would be America, or I don't know exactly what would they've named it, but like instead of what the original concept we started with, that why wasn't Britain America as well. Like the Great Britain would have been a whole country with the America as well. If this would have happened, it would probably be the other way around because they were the majority, right? It's just a crazy thought I had. Escalation and miscalculation. Protests turned into resistance. Resistance turned into violence. Britain responded with force instead of reform. Each step radicalized people who previously wanted to stay loyal. Independence wasn't inevitable, but became unavoidable. Many colonists still considered themselves British well into the 1770s. This is something I would have never imagined, like after so many generations, but apparently it was the case. Independence became appealing only after repeated crackdowns, military occupation, sorry, not corruption, political dead ends. At that point, separation seemed safer than submission. Fact number 14. The experiment of freedom. The revolution was not just against Britain, it was against distant authority without consent. The new system was built on the idea that power starts locally and moves upward, not the other way around. Britain didn't fail because it was weak. It failed because it treated the colonies as assets instead of people. By the time Britain tried to rule directly, Americans had learned already to rule themselves. So, I'm happy we did this in a one go because I will not edit anything because I do have to go to work as well. But it's something I think about often, like people think about the Roman Empire. I think about the courage and the idea, the concept of this free country for the people, by the people. And I truly believe the founding fathers had something there, a great idea, a great concept. And we all know, like Europe and parts of Asia followed this system as well afterwards. But what I'm trying to say is that nowadays, I don't think the founding fathers would have been proud of the state we're in. So, good idea to begin with, bad execution.